Hey friend, this is the Traveling Wellnesspreneur podcast, and I'm your host, Allie Temple. I travel full-time running my dream wellness biz from the tropics, and I want to share with you how you can create a lifestyle of freedom and purpose too. Stay tuned for inspiring and fun conversations that will empower you to take action towards your dream lifestyle of travel and freedom. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the Traveling Wellnesspreneur podcast. Today I'm sharing a really fun conversation that I had recently with my dear friend Serena Kuppe. And Serena is someone that I have known for a decade now. We actually did our first yoga teacher training together 10 years ago in LA. She's been a big part of my life ever since, and so it was really fun to have a close friend on the podcast for this one. Serena is going to be assisting me at my upcoming Sayulita retreat, which is happening this February, and we do still have a few spots left to join us at the Sayulita retreat. So if you want to learn more about that, first of all, we'll talk about it in this episode, so you'll hear a little bit more about that by tuning in. You can also check out the show notes to learn more about the retreat, and you can reach out to me on Instagram if you have any questions about that. Serena Kuppe is a certified yoga teacher with a decade of experience. She's also the visionary and heart behind Hey Let's Yoga, a pop-up yoga community in Denver, Colorado. Her instructional approach exudes compassion, authenticity, and a touch of playful humor that's reflected in her dad jokes. Infused with a rich range of personal experiences, Serena brings diverse insights to her teaching, guided by the profound belief that curiosity is the gateway to learning. Her approach embraces the journey as much as the destination. So let's get to my conversation with Serena as we recall some of the magic of the last Sayulita retreat that she joined me in 2022. And she also tells us about the yoga community that she has cultivated in Denver, steeped in the pillars of accessibility, fun, and acceptance. Here's Serena.
Without recording it?
Yeah,
That'd
absolutely.
be totally something would happen.
Oh yes. It would definitely be our episode if that did happen. Welcome, Serena. It's so fun to have you here. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here and chat about upcoming fun things we have going on.
Yeah. So for those who are listening, you and I go way back. And I want to just break down a little bit about how we know each other. We have many stories, but just as a brief introduction to our past, you and I first connected in our first yoga teacher training, which was like insane how that was about 10 years ago now, like so crazy. And since then we did a vinyasa training. We got to stay together in LA for a vinyasa training, which was about a year later. I know there are so many other things. Well, for one, you were the photographer and lovely guest at my wedding, which was 5 years ago.
Yes, it's so fun.
So
I can't believe it's been that long.
I know, yeah. And you were also on my Sayulita yoga retreat, which was in 2022. So about 2 years ago, you and your hubby, Mark, got to join us on retreat. And I'm really looking forward today to chatting with you a little bit more about that experience and getting to share with our listeners about why it's so important for us as yoga teachers, as wellness entrepreneurs, to actually take care of ourselves and do things like this and attend retreats and not only just be the teacher, but also be the student as well. It's great to have a close friend here with me today, although we're not here together.
Not physically close, but yeah.
So tell us, where are you joining from, Serena? Where are you?
So I'm in Denver, Colorado, right at the foothill of the Rocky Mountains. And I moved here about 5 years ago with my husband and my son. And yeah, we're just checking out all 4 seasons that life has to offer here. We come from Minnesota, where we call it Baja, Canada. It's very cold most of the year. So it's really nice to have the diversity in climate here, meaning, you know, there's a definitive place between fall and winter, spring and summer. The mountains can't be beat. We're avid outdoor people, so we really get to explore the mountains as much as possible and we're really into the hot springs lately. It's natural
Yeah.
soaks and stuff. It's been
Yeah.
a really great adventure since moving out here 5 years ago. I think I moved out here probably just a week before I came out to Canada to shoot your wedding.
I remember that. Yeah, you were like just in the process and you kind of
Yeah.
dropped everything for us and came out to Vancouver for the wedding, which
Yeah.
shows the kind of person you are. And I am so grateful for that. It's been really cool to follow your adventures since you've been in Colorado because I do see that you guys are fully taking advantage of the outdoors, really enjoying your time, getting outside and going on adventures. And something that I want to get to in a little bit, you've also started a new community there. So we'll chat about that in a moment. And before we get to hearing more about that, I want to chat about retreats. And now, can you correct me if I'm wrong, but have I seen you since the Sayulita retreat? I think that was the last we saw each other, right?
Yeah, that's the last we saw her
Yeah.
in person for sure. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It just seems like that time just goes by really quickly, though. So
I know. It's so crazy that that's
yeah,
even been 2 years. It was really nice to have you there. I know that that retreat to me was such a special experience, and everyone was just so grateful to be there at that time and to connect. And I'm curious to hear from you as an experienced yoga teacher, as a mom. You're always on the go, you're always helping other people. Why was it important to you to attend that retreat in Sayulita a couple of years ago?
moving to Colorado, we've kind of moved away from our immediate support system of having grandparents around with our kid, and so now it takes a little bit more planning to get away with my husband and just to get away in general, I think, on, a personal vacation without just having the whole family go. So that was really the first time since COVID that Mark and I had gotten a chance to get away. And Mark's actually a yoga teacher too.
Mm-hmm.
We were able to make it happen because Mark's mom offered to come out and stay with Grayson while we went to Mexico and got to enjoy ourselves at your retreat. It's really important to be able to connect. It's kind of like one of the reasons why I chose to do the teacher trainings that we've done the way we've done them is to kind of get out of your natural habitat and get into more of an immersive opportunity to connect and learn and kind of grow with one another. Some people being strangers and some people being, familiar friends, and then leaving with a whole new group of friends. Like, now we have new yoga besties, and be able to enjoy myself and not be the person responsible for teaching all the yoga classes and holding everybody's energy. Just a chance to kind of relax by the pool and walk around and have some margaritas in town square and the proximity of your yoga retreat in Sayulita. It was so amazing because it was such a great retreat center. I mean, it didn't feel like a retreat center because, it wasn't just about the aesthetics. It was very welcoming and inviting. The chef, Carlos, was just amazing. The food and the people, the opportunities to connect at dinner, and then, the time having a little bit of structure, but a lot of time to kind of play and get to know each other. And it was a really great way to reset.
Yeah, and it's been cool to see how so many of us have stayed in touch and stayed connected.
Yeah.
We were all, I didn't know most of the guests at the beginning of the retreat, and no one really knew each other. And to see how I know even you have connected with some of them and met up in person since retreat. And there's something so beautiful that happens on retreat, like you said, similar to a yoga teacher training, where these people just become kind of like your extended family, and you share this experience together that you really can almost not even put into words because you're having this experience as a container, as a sangha, and that stays with you after, right? That's one of the things I love when I go on retreat, is that you have this connection that doesn't just end at the end of your time together. It stays with you afterwards. Didn't you you met up with someone recently? I think they were in Colorado.
Liz was in Colorado last September, and she was like, "Hey, I'm coming in town to work for the week. I want to stay a couple days and hang out." So she came and stayed with me for a night, and then we went into the mountains and stayed in Breckenridge for a day. It was fun.
Those are the magical moments that I absolutely love about not only hosting, but also attending retreats myself. I'm curious, who do you think should really be going on these types of retreats or having this type of experience and actually carving out the time to give back to themselves?
I mean, honestly, I would recommend the retreat for anybody. Yoga classes are going to be tailored to your skill level. There's going to be modifications and options available for every level of practitioner. And even if you've never really practiced yoga, it's a great way to spend some time with yourself. It's also a great opportunity to like get a room and stay with a friend or a significant other. I can't say that my husband would ever go on a retreat on his own, but he certainly enjoyed himself on this retreat. I would say that anybody could enjoy the retreat, especially, if it's been a while since you traveled and if going to like a foreign country or Mexico by yourself is a little daunting. A retreat is a really great way to do it because, we met everybody at the airport and took the same transport into Sayulita from Puerto Vallarta Airport. So it was a really great way to kind of like just get to know some of the people whose flights were around the same time as ours. There's just a lot of opportunity to connect, especially if you're an introverted person and you find it difficult to put yourself in these positions where it's like if you go to a local pool in your neighborhood in the summertime, you're not really going to strike up these conversations or make these same connections as you would if you intentionally put yourself in this space created for this connection. Sometimes it can feel vulnerable, but some of the best outcomes come from putting yourself in those vulnerable situations, which kind of just takes you back to the yoga. But I think especially teachers, yoga teachers really can benefit. As a yoga teacher, I always find inspiration in other people's classes and learning about how people do things. I really appreciate watching you really make everything happen that you set out to do. And then also use that as a way to offer and educate to other people who are looking to do the same thing, but might not know how to start or do it. I mean, I feel like I can come to you and ask any question about, hey, I want to do a retreat. Let's have a conversation. And you're like, yeah, here's some tips and tricks and here's how I do it. And it's all around just a great experience for everybody.
Yeah, it is so special. And speaking of that retreat, I'm so excited that you're going to be joining me on the next Sayulita retreat, which is coming up this February. We will be reunited again. There are still a few spots to join us. And at this particular retreat, because I've hosted it already at the same venue just a couple of years ago, as we've been talking about, I wanted to level up this experience. And so I invited you to come along and support me with some of the behind the scenes stuff so that every guest has like a really up-leveled, unforgettable experience. And I'm so grateful that you've said yes to come and support. Like, especially since you were there at the last one, you know exactly what to expect. You're gonna be there to help me out so that I don't need to clone myself and that we can just show up and be really present for everyone who's joining. So that is going to be so fun. I know we had so much fun with everybody at the last one. I'm curious if there's anything specific that you're most looking forward to at this upcoming retreat. What are you most excited about coming back?
Well, I'm really excited about enjoying myself in the same place, but with new people. And then also, being able to offer that support to you where it's like, there were some times where I recognized that you were a little spread thin on that retreat. And it was like, so when you asked me to support, it was just kind of like a no-brainer. It was like, oh, I would love to come on retreat with you again and support in the ways that don't make you feel like you have to double yourself or be in two places at once. Taking care of people is just kind of like one of my love languages. So it's just an opportunity to do that. All around, I'm really just looking forward to extra long weekends and seeing who comes, like who's going to come to this retreat. Is it going to be you or is it going to be you and some friends? I'm happy that you're doing it again in that same place because it's just such a lovely community and it was great the first time around and it can only get better in my opinion.
So there you go. If you are still considering a getaway in February, check out the link. I'll leave the link in the show notes and you can join Serena and I at the Sayulita Serenity Retreat. We're so stoked to connect with everyone so very soon. In the meantime, Serena, I would love for you to share just a little bit about the community that you have started in Denver. And I know you've been working so hard on this over the last couple of years, I believe now, called Hey Let's Yoga. Can you tell us a little bit, like, why did you start this community and what is it?
So Hey Let's Yoga actually started in 2020 as just an online yoga community, and some teachers that I know from Minneapolis and New York kind of banded together and created this online platform. We did Zoom yoga for a few months together. And when things started to kind of reopen, we just kind of let it mellow out as people were stepping back into yoga studios or into yoga spaces. The need for online yoga had just kind of lessened. I maintained the idea of Hey Let's Yoga and just kind of turned some things in my head. I worked for a handful of local studios here in Denver, and I've always kind of been, one foot in and one foot out of the studio atmosphere, just because I see some inequalities in the yoga industry really that need to be addressed. And I believe that the best way to address these inequalities is to be the change in the industry rather than trying to rely on somebody else to do what you believe is, the right way or a good way to do things, the next right way, not necessarily the right way, because there's more than one right way to do things. But I firmly believe and passionately believe that yoga is truly for everybody, and that teachers and assistants and support should all be paid equitably for the work that they put in. So for every minute worked, everybody gets paid. So in summer of 2021, I decided to start teaching yoga in the park with some of my friends. There was 3 of us to start, and we decided to do Thursdays by a lake in Denver called Sloan's Lake. Coming from Minneapolis is the city of lakes. I was always spending my time by a lake, and it was as a favorite pastime. I wanted to recreate that feeling of being calming by the water. But being in Denver, we have mountain views. So we found a spot that has a nice grove of trees, west-facing views of the mountains. And then we decided, let's do this at sunset and make it just the most magical experience we can. So the first time we had class, it was like 5 people. Mm-hmm. And then the next class, there was 8. And then it just kind of rolled into its own community. And by the end of summer, we had upwards of 50 people showing up at these classes. People were finding us organically. All of our marketing was just social media and Eventbrite. And really just kind of word of mouth. People would be walking around the lake and we would say, come on over and join us. So just doing it as like a donation base, pay what you will or pay nothing at all yoga. It grew, and people would let us know how great it was. Some people were scared to still practice inside because you're in that period of time where you're not comfortable going into an enclosed space to practice yoga. And a lot of people that came were brand new to Denver, that were coming for the same reasons, to be near the water. And with the support of some of my other yoga friends, that some people were going to teacher training and some people were new teachers and some people were experienced teachers. People started asking, hey, can we do this at another park? We'd love to join you. And we had enough people where I was thinking of adding a second day at the lake anyway. In the springtime, I just decided, let's do Sloan's Lake 2 days a week and add a park in the middle of town for a 3rd day, and just rotated the teachers. We also added in support staff, so that every person that came to every class would feel seen and greeted, and so that they know that we knew that they were there. And I really think that made a really huge impact as well. I think our biggest class this past summer had over 100 people.
Wow.
To do it in a way that is accessible to teachers. So many of our teachers were just starting out or just graduated in teacher training within the last year. So all the people that had already been involved in Hey Let's Yoga the year prior, I had a mentor program in the winter of last year. So I invited all these teachers to come and teach for me in the Hey Let's Yoga community, be part of the community. And they all really took ownership of their role, whether it was assisting or teaching. Really, there's space for everybody. And we're growing to a 4th day next year, and we have about 12 teachers. I want everybody that wants to teach yoga, and everybody that wants to be part of the community is welcome to be part of the community. It's turned into this lovely community of people, and the whole premise is to just keep it accessible to everybody. And some of that is learning to hand off responsibilities. So I had some great help from my teachers. So I'm learning where to delegate responsibilities and hand off to ease my load. So I'm not having to show up 4 times a week every night to 4 different locations across the city. And it's taught me to kind of let go in some areas and trust, especially for me. I tend to be a little bit of want to just control everything. So I'm learning to, let go of that need to control everything and trust the people that are in my circle to show up and do what needs to be done. And they do. And it's great. I look forward to the growth of the community and winter pop-ups.
It's so cool to see because in the decade that I've known you, you've always been like so focused on inclusivity and building community and getting people together and making sure that everyone felt like they belonged. And I've seen that since like the very first few days that I met you in yoga teacher training. I've seen that along the way. So to see what you've created with this new business and community that is so steeped in those pillars that I know so authentically are what you are made of and what you are passionate about, it's really awesome to see the growth and everything that you are creating with that community. So congrats on all that. I know that that is not easy work. Yeah, I'm really just so proud of you and so excited to see what else goes down with that community. So if anyone listening is in Denver, definitely check them out. We'll leave a link to the show notes for them as well. I know you guys have an awesome social media. You've got a great Instagram. Is there anything else, Serena, that you want to share with us that you are working on for the future with that community?
Oh, just kind of, keep on following what I've learned from the community and the teachers that are within it, is to just release the tight grip on like having a set direction. I mean, I have lots of ideas on just kind of letting it move organically in the direction that it's going to. We've made some really great partnerships with like-minded brands. And so I'm looking forward to, in the immediate future, doing pop-ups, just really, other like-minded companies and individuals. It's really just all about community. So anything that's community oriented, we're totally into. And so I'm looking forward to letting go more and seeing where the wind takes our sails and just watching this community flourish. And I also just like to say thanks for having me on. And it's been such a privilege to grow and watch you as a fellow woman entrepreneur, just like all these milestones and things that you've accomplished as well in the last decade. It's like, look at where we started and look at where we're going. It's so wonderful to still maintain such close contact with you and to connect as often as we do.
Well, I'm so grateful to you for taking some time out today. And of course, I feel the same way. It's been amazing to get to reconnect with you time and time again over this last decade. And of course, so very soon in Sayulita, I can't wait to give you a big old squeeze.
I know.
When I see you in Mexico. Thanks again. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, thanks.
That's it for now. Thanks so much for joining me. And until next time, let's stay connected. Follow me on Instagram at Ali Temple Yoga. Join us in the Traveling Wellnesspreneurs Facebook group. And if you enjoyed this episode, please take a minute to subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. See you next time.